this is a little bit different setup than what we're normal. We do a lot of talking, sitting around the table talking, and
we've been accused of that before.
We need to discuss a few things here. There's a lot of issues going on, a lot of allegations against us. We'll get into those and about those. But first, why don't you let us know, talk a little bit about your background and some of the things that, the area that you worked in, and you've done a lot of bidding in your lifetime. You've bid for the government and everything else. Tell us a little bit about your experiences and stuff, and what you know about even making bids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was simple start really. Graduated Houston, lived here all my life. County resident. Moved away for a few years, about 10. When I say moved away, I come home every weekend. This was my home. I worked away, should I say? Worked for Caterpillar up in the mines for 10 years. Kansas City area. Had a couple great kids. Decided, I wanted to give them what I had, that small town. I wanted them back out of that city, and so we come back home in 2010. Took a job with the state. Took a pretty substantial pay cut to do what I thought was right with the family, and so come back here, ran their heavy equipment program. Was you've seen it. You've seen what I ran all the time. Did 15 years with them, and it was crazy. I was the only heavy equipment mechanic, full-time state mechanic they had for the entire state of the conservation. And so it was a lot. It entailed me to get into the state mandated bid processes. And there's a lot to them. I mean, you're going and bidding everything from which we was only required to bid $10,000 and higher was what was required bids. We had a lot of state contracts we was able to use that kept us from having to bid those amounts every time. And I know, if you read it, they're called cooperative contracts. Municipalities can use them, counties can use them, schools can use them, so they don't have to bid stuff like that. So it's a complex system, and in 15 years, I can tout this. I never once got in trouble or got admonished for anything because I knew the rules. And then the only way to stay and be able to walk a line is to know where that line's at. Anybody that knows government, line changes constantly, and so you have to keep up with that, and being involved in piddly purchases, from everyday purchases up to $1 million piece of equipment, you had to do it right, because if not, someone out there was going to say, well, crap, why didn't we get a chance at that? And we had that happen on occasions. We had a heavy equipment contract that we put out to all the heavy equipment dealers across the state, because obviously being the only person, you've seen me run 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I'd get a phone call during fire season, flood season, ball games. It didn't matter. I took off, I left. I missed birthdays, anniversaries. That was my job. That's what I did, and enjoyed it. I did, but it was a lot. But so we bid these contracts out, and I can remember, one of the contractors. I reached out to them because they had complained, we're not on the contract. And so I actually reached out to the owner of the heavy equipment repair company, and I said, man, you guys have chosen not to bid on this. And they didn't like some of the language that was in the contract, because if you've read languages of some of these government contracts, they're pretty complex. And so there was a few little things in there that they did not like, and so, unless those things were taken out, they weren't going to bid on it. And so, it cleared up that perception that we was leaving them off, because everybody got the same contract. Everybody got the same thing to bid on. I'm on the same thing now, being on the outside, not working for them anymore. I actually got on what they call the Missouri buy system. It's the state's procurement system. It's what becomes and makes you a qualified vendor. You fill out a very lengthy contract that looks through your tax history, make sure your taxes are paid, or you can't do business with the state. And so, in order to do business with them and haul rock for them with the dump truck, you have to be on their qualified vendor list. You have to be one of their contractors. And so, having done that in the past and knowing how that system worked, it was a very easy transition for me. But people on the outside that don't know those rules very specifically, it can seem, you know, misdirected sometimes. And but the biggest problem is people don't either know the right questions to ask, or maybe they don't care. They want to run a narrative, and so that kind of that's kind of like I said. You've watched me grow up, should I say, the best I could grow up, or be forced to grow up, or whatever. But it's been a joy. I mean, I enjoy the procurement side now. Being in business for myself, that's helped, and so that's kind of where it all fell out, and so that's what brought me to now being, I guess you would say, locally famous on our radio station.
Well, one of the misconceptions that a lot of people don't know about, and especially when you have a less than intelligent person spouting things out about it daily on the radio, is that just because you work for or involved in a government body, which that includes townships and includes school boards, includes city boards and city councils and stuff like that, just because you work for them, that you're automatically disqualified from buying or selling or anything with that entity. Well, that's not true. There is
correct. There's rules.
There's very specific rules that you have to go by. That if you do those things, but it doesn't disqualify you from doing it. And the way it's being portrayed is that something was done illegally because of the affiliation with those entities.
Yeah.
And that's what's been. Let's get right into talking about the process of the bid on the what's calling the ball field property. First off, I want to clear some things up about it. Now you put the bid in that won the property.
I did.
Supposedly, from what I understand, there was 2 other bids made. Yours was the highest bid, and it was accepted by the chamber. There was a question, and there's been allegations against myself and against you that there was somehow some cheating going on, and we have found out there was some cheating going on. That's correct, but it wasn't by us. It was by the other entities putting the bids in, and that they were collaborating with each other, knowing what each other was going to bid, putting their bids in at virtually the same time, trying to secure the property for themselves without anyone else getting it.
I mean, and this is all because of small town stuff. This all come out afterwards.
Yes.
After my name and address was blasted across the internet, a lot of stuff come out. A lot of people come out and come to me that has known me and my family for years, and you get a lot of people coming out of the woodwork on both sides. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But we've had people step up and say, there was some things going on behind the scenes, which I had this conversation the other day with somebody. I said, if you want to know something in Houston, just go to a restaurant by yourself. Like I do a lot. I mean, my lunch hours vary every day being self-employed. And so a lot of times I'm either eating with you or I'm in there by myself, sitting in a corner, eating my meal, and it's amazing what you'll hear when you walk in a restaurant and nobody knows, nobody looks to see who's sitting there, and certain people in the community just starts talking. And so you pick up a lot on that. And yeah, there's been, allegations from both sides now, that, like I say, that somehow the school and this Piney River Holdings, which they said on the radio who's in that. That's Rocky Gilbert, I believe, Josh Dixon, and Rick Dixon. So, I don't know that. Like I say, just like they don't know, they're just throwing accusations out there. So it's once again, it's hearsay. I don't worry about that. That had no basis of my decision. Like I said, that come out after this. My decision on that, going forward on that property out there was, I've been in conversations with a lot of people around here the last several months, seriously, about trying to grow something for my family, to grow my business, to grow my presence, because I mean, you know what's happened the last couple of years, and most people around here does. Like I said, I worked for the state a long time. Fell off my semi and broke my back. Well, at 42 years old, my life changed. Everything about it. And so it was either lay down and die or get up and try to do something different. And so, thankfully, with your help, and being a huge help, I've been able to pull myself out of that self sorry crap of, well, what am I going to do, to this is what I'm going to do. And so that process out there, that property out there offered us a huge opportunity. When I say us, we're partners in several things. Now we both have our own businesses going. There's no,
Awesome.
we've never tried to hide any of that by any means. So it's just funny that if a person wants to try to get ahead around here, the powers to be always seem to try to find a way to push them back down. And I've never been one to stick my head out in this community. I mean, anybody would know that, really, that not that I wasn't ever a loudmouth. I mean, I've been accused of that several times and never denied that by any means, but never wanted to really step out of my comfort zone. And I had a comfort zone, is stay home, take care of your family, do your work, have your fun. But when I say comfort zone of stepping out in areas that I've never been involved in before, owning my own business, that was never in the realm for me. And so, a lot of that inspiration, come from you, come from my people around me saying, you've spent years making a lot of money for other people. You can do it on your own. And so, this opportunity out there at the ball field, they can call it what they want. I was the highest bidder. And when I say highest bidder, those bids, I mean, once the chamber released them, and they had to in the general sense, because they seen everything that was getting accused, and it was dragging names in that, like I said, I hadn't done nothing to any of these people.
Do you know what the bids were? Like,
yeah, the chamber put them out. They're out there on the chamber Facebook page, and so I believe the school bid was it was an open bid, which was really odd. I've not seen one like that. I ain't saying you can't do it like that, but I think it was like 80 to 90 some thousand, or 80 to 96,000. I think this Piney River Holdings was like 123,000, and then of course my bid was an even 144,100, which some people's like, that's a very specific number. Well, if you take that 28.82 times 5,000 an acre, that comes out to exactly $144,100, and that's everybody's got a price on something that they feel they'll be okay at. And that was that price. You look at land around here. Land's astronomically high. Well, the beauty of that land is very diverse. Started farming in the last few years and trying to grow a farm for my daughter and my son and his future wife. And so, it opened an opportunity there for the agriculture side, because it is zoned agriculture and industrial. So, it has that aspect of and a beautiful hayfield on it. And so, on top of being the ball field property, it fits the narrative of what I'm trying to do in this light of, okay, that's what we want to do. And so it was an opportunity. Put a sealed bid in an envelope, just like it was supposed to be. This insider information, man, I tell you what, if there was, I got screwed, because I could have saved myself a lot of money in the long run. But it's just, when you're trying to run a narrative, and most people ain't gonna talk back, or are gonna get punched down. A lot of people around here can't. They're kind of hemmed in, and I was one of those people for a long time, being regulated, working for a certain entity, working for the state or anything like that. You had to be very cautious about what you said, because if this kind of stuff come out, whether they could prove it or not in the initial phase, you was on a thread. And so, a lot of people are in that position, let alone a lot of people, they get their name thrown around like this. I mean, already getting harassment, getting some, I ain't going to say threats as in a physical threat, but catching some flack over some stupidity just because my name was put out there and listed you on the deed. And here's the thing. I mean, if I wanted to keep something secret, I'd keep something secret. That's a public document. If I wanted it secret, I wouldn't have put you on the deed as the beneficiary, if I die, that goes to you. And everybody's like, well, why? Why? Like I said, I mean, you helped raise my kids.
Yeah.
My son was at your house just as much as he was at mine coming up through the COVID days in baseball, and they're tight and they're close. And so, he's trying to start a family. He's trying to get married and trying to build a life. And I've got a daughter, she's still in high school. And so I've got a wife that if something happens to me, now I've got this brand new business out there. And the last thing she's going to have to need to figure out, or I want her to figure out if something happens, is either how to keep the business going and moving forward or dissolving. You've been in business a long time. I've been in business for full time now, less than a year.
Yeah.
And so, my mindset is, as my parents are getting older, so it's something I didn't want them to have to worry about. And the trust I have in you, as both as a friend and as a partnership, was very simple. If something happens to me, my wife knows, pick up the phone and call you. Same conversations we've had with your family and your business, and your son's away to college, and if something, God forbid, happens to either one of us, the comfort our families know is one or the other of us is going to help the family either move forward or move out. And so, this whole nefarious narrative that they're trying to push, I mean, I hate it, because a couple of the guys, Rick and Josh, I've lived in the same community as them for years. Rocky, I can pick the guy out in a crowd, but I've never talked to the man. And so I don't get it. And it's the same, isn't our first running in with outsiders. And I hate that term, because I want people to feel comfortable coming to this community, but we see this national narrative of outsiders coming in and running things. But when you go to an area, to either acclimate to that area or to visit because you like the difference in where you're from, not to make it what you want it to be or what you come from. And so, like I say, it's weird. I mean, we grew up 20 years apart.
Yeah,
I mean,
two generations apart.
There is a noticeable age gap difference in how town was when you was here. When you first started coming here, as far as high school, stuff like that, to where when I went through high school, and now the same thing with our kids, another 20 years, just what has changed, from the school districts to the city to everything, everything's changing, and nobody really likes change, but everybody, eventually accepts it, but you still need to modulate it and modulate how it's done. That's the big thing. So,
well, I kind of, felt like you kind of got drug into this. The blame was a lot of it, and the insider information stuff was put on me because of me being a school board member, and the accusations was made that I got inside information on what the school was going to bid, which is not true. And one thing I'd like to say is, and the people that's going to believe it is going to believe it. People that's not going to believe it, we really don't care.
Yeah,
but in any way, when you made your bid for the property, did I influence you? Did I give you any numbers? Did I say anything to you about what you should bid on the property?
Absolutely not. You didn't have to. I mean, we had talked about 1 million properties around the county. I mean, it has been no secret. I have told you, I think my biggest thing I've told you is I want to find a piece of property out of this school district.
Yeah, I know you've
out of this town.
You've called about many.
I've called about many. I've looked at a lot over in the Raymondville area, and there's a very specific reason for that. Mm-hmm. This just offered more of a business opportunity, and you've guided me along the way on my business. I mean, especially so, starting out, pulling trees, doing little jobs. Started with a little skid steer, and went and bought my first trailer, and then it next thing I'm rolling in with an excavator. I went and bought on my own. Mm-hmm. Got a good job going and needed an excavator. Went out and bought it myself. That was my first big, holy crap, you're in 100% purchase. Bought it used, was pretty proud of myself. And rolled 5 months later, rolled into Springfield for the farm show and bought a brand new skid steer. Mm-hmm. 2.5 months after that, traded that old excavator in and got a brand new excavator. it has grown exponentially. What's funny is how it started. It was you giving me the courage to do it. I had the ability. It was just, the step up to say, I think you can do this. Now, it doesn't surprise you anymore when I come to you and say, this is what I'm going to do.
No.
And we do things, like you say, as a partner, we a lot of times don't even call each other to say, what do you think about doing this? We call the other person and say, I don't know how many times this has happened. We're going to Texas and getting a truck tonight.
Yeah.
That's our life in a nutshell. Say, hey, what are you doing Friday? Okay, well, if you ain't got much going on, we're going to Oklahoma and getting a trailer. So I didn't need guidance from you. I've been around this community long enough. I watch prices. I research a lot of things, and I was as surprised as anybody when I got the phone call that I won the bid at $5,000 an acre. Blew my mind. I mean, my wife is literally sitting on the couch beside me, and she's like, "You got to be kidding me!" I'm like, "No, we got it." Because it is good property. It's got 63 frontage. It's 28 acres. I would have thought I'd have been outbid hand and foot, but I knew financially where I needed to be was at 5,000 an acre. That was my number, and so, what a lot of people really don't, probably know, I guess, really about me and you is we don't agree on everything.
No.
And never have. But where we do is we find common ground on things. And, it's give and take. I'm the younger generation. I've got a different view, a different insight on some stuff. Technology, obviously, is one of them.
Well, I'm not so sure about that, but I know you believe that.
Well, sometimes, mainly, anything phone or computer related, but but no, I mean, that's what makes it nice, and yours is years and years and years of business. You've ran businesses and different organizations for a long time, so that diversity in itself is, as much as I don't like using that word because it's kind of getting a bad rap, but the different things we've done in our lives is what made things work really good.
Well, and anyone that knows us or has been around us understands that we are do these things together, do a lot of things together.
Or anybody that asks us, what the hell are you doing? How many times have I walked into a gas station or a restaurant and said, what in the hell are you doing now?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just surprising to them because, like I say, I've always been a reserved person as far as I've always worked for somebody. From the day I got out of high school, I was always employed by somebody else. It was always go get a good job, go get insurance, go be safe. Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you, after working for the state 15 years, like I say, being on call essentially 24/7, breaking my back, and then having some complications with that, to them walking in one day and said, well, you can't really do your job for us anymore, you're fired.
Yeah, I mean, that was
the loyalty.
You were fired.
That was the loyalty on their part.
Yeah.
Was you're fired. And
I remember you was really down when that happened. You didn't know what you were going to do.
I mean, that's all I've done.
Anyway.
Ever since I got out of high school, I mean, I went to Lynn State, went through their CAT program, worked for CAT, worked for the state. Was gonna retire from there, which, I mean, it wasn't great, but it was security.
Yeah.
And I went from knowing what and where my money was coming from every day to a complete flip. And so now people say, well, you're completely different. You're right. I mean, you can ask my wife, you can ask anybody around me. I changed everything about my life. And when I say changed everything, I mean, I weighed over 300 and some pounds 2.5 years ago. Lost right at 160 pounds. Because I wanted to. It was time for a change. It was time for me to do what was best for me and for my family. And I didn't give a damn what anybody thought. And a lot of that I see now looking back, that come from my dad. There's no doubt about that. That man has been in this same way, been in this community his whole life, born and raised down the Roby area, and taught school here, taught school at this school. I was in his class. He taught the automotive class here for several years. and then they got rid of it, which that was like the first change. When we talk about school, how much school has changed. That was the first big kick away from these vocational programs. I can remember being told, my junior senior year, you need to go to a 4-year college. You need to go 4-year college. That wasn't for me. And the more they tried to push me, the more I absolutely did not want to do anything near it. And so I chose to go to tech school. And I can remember coming back to my, grandpa when he passed away. They sold my grandma's place, and I come in. I worked 6 days that week. I come in on that Friday morning, because I work nights. Got in like 7 o'clock that morning for the auction. Been up all night working. Come in from Kansas City, and of course, here they are. They're selling, 70 years of my grandma's stuff. And of course she was down, and so I just walked up. I asked her, hey, you want a beer? And anybody that knew my grandma Miller knew she liked beer. She liked to just have a beer. And so we sat there and have beer, and people started showing up for this auction, and she's like, this, and I'm not going to name this lady. It has no bearing on the story, but she walked up, and it was somebody from the school that knew me when I was in high school, and walked up and just as arrogantly as could be, looked at me and said, well, I can see, things haven't changed, and you didn't turn out far from what I thought you would. I'm like, what does that mean? She's like, it's 7:30 in the morning, you're drinking a beer. And, like I say, this is a new me. I'm not the same person I was back then. And so instantly, my temperature went to here. Instead of a calculated reaction, it was just a reaction. And my cousin, she was sitting beside me, and she knew it was coming. And she was just actually still is. She's just as hot-headed. But, I told this guy, I said, look, if you want to compare, let's compare. I don't know what it cost for you to go to college back when Lincoln was still president or whatever, because this gal was old. But I said, let's just say you got this much invested in your career. Say it cost you $40,000 when you went, or $30,000. That tech school, I think, cost me $15,000. After 2 years of being out, paid for, done, no big deal. At this time, this is, oh my goodness, 2007-ish, somewhere around there. I can't remember the exact time, but I think that year I made like 98, 99,000. Almost broke that 100,000 mark. And I'm like, your last year as what you were at the school, you may have broke 60. And you're seeing that shift across the board now. Mm-hmm. You're seeing a lot of kids going back into those trades. They're becoming more popular, and I'm a huge fan. I want to give props to the school as much as I want to try to change some of the other things. This CTE program, this tech program over there, that's big. That's a gold mine that can suck from a lot of schools around here if we could just get it off the ground and get it rolling.
That's the issue.
It is, and so that's I want to be as positive as I am negative sometimes, because that I think they're doing their fundraiser tomorrow night, and it's I'm super excited for it. Donated a load of rock just like last year. Mm-hmm. We donated a load of rock to them. I think that load of rock made them $550 last year off a load of rock. Mm-hmm. Which is great because it goes help these kids build stuff, and so and I think that's part of the reason why you wanted to get on the school board. I mean, what was your biggest push to get on the school board?
It was just mainly my history here as far as the youth programs. I mean, I started the youth football program. Me and my brother did in 1995. I ran it for 27 years until Cody Nagabars took it over and run it the last 3. It's still going strong. Although last year there was word that there was people here. Actually the same people that was bidding on the property out there that was going to take the Mighty Mite program away and take the kids to Springfield and play and stop the program here. That was their intention. But that didn't happen. That wasn't the first time somebody's tried to come in and
well, I think there was a little controversy over something with the Mighty Mite program too by this same group.
The same group, exactly. But my dedication to the kids. I mean, and you coached with me for at least 10 years plus. We done and just the kids. I mean, that's what I run for school board for. I was like many people. I was very concerned about being on the board or running for the board, and when my son was still in school, whenever Casey hadn't graduated yet, because I was worried about repercussions against him. Just like I get complaints now from people afraid to say what they want to say, or complaints they want to give.
Just like having my daughter still in school. You know, I worry about me and you have this conversation
all the time,
every day.
every day.
I worry about it every day, the flack she gets. But I think people around her knows. I mean, sadly, that girl acts a lot like her dad.
Yeah,
which is good. That's what she was raised to be. You know, she was raised to honestly have the same mindset. You know, go after what you want. Don't worry about what people think.
But it's interesting that my being on the school board is what was the beginning of this all these allegations about your bid for the property. Was that somehow I had got inside information of what the board was going to bid on the property, and that I outbid it. Now, for some reason, I think your bid on the property was 40,000 more than theirs,
so if you go,
or 50,000.
If you go to their low bid of 80, you know, I was either anywhere from 60 to 50 some thousand higher than the school.
So I mean, I don't know how many. Well, maybe George, because I don't know in sixth grade how good their math skills are in sixth grade, but any reasonably intelligent person would understand that. Well, if I would give you inside information on what the school is going to bid, and you outbid them by $60,000, that probably wouldn't be very good information.
And you said it, you know, like people coming up in the community since this has all come out, you know, at first, before the chamber released what they, and I gotta applaud the chamber on this. They didn't just say, well, he bid $144,000. They actually released the bids that were turned in.
And they ask you first.
And they ask you first.
And in fact, they only ask you. I was told by someone from the chamber, they asked each one of them that made a bid.
Yeah, see,
so we cleared it through everyone. Okay. So there would be no, because normally when you make sealed bids, they don't release the information.
Yeah.
Because the person that gets it doesn't really, you might be the person that wants to turn around and resell it or whatever you want to do.
And so then everybody knows what you get for it.
And so that's not really the protocol for sealed bids. But because of all the accusations and because all the allegations that was going on against you, but mostly against me, you said, release my bid. That's fine because I want people to see. And at that time, you didn't even know what the other bids were.
Really?
You didn't know. But the way the allegations were going is that you had inside information and you just bid just enough to buy it. The next
so when that come
bid
out,
after yours was what? I mean, but the
123,000.
So your bid was 21,000 more than theirs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. So I mean, that to me, that you would have thought that would have killed that narrative, but sadly enough, it didn't. It kept going.
And it did with a lot, because honestly, when it first came out, you know, a lot of people did question, well, crap, you know, they put the two and two together.
Yeah.
We've never hid the fact that we do business together. I mean, we're either eating dinner together or eating lunch together, or we're out here together, you know, doing something business related. It's never been a secret to anybody.
No.
But now that it come out when the chamber did that, that's why I say I got to applaud it. I wasn't hiding nothing, so I said, absolutely release it. Yeah. You know, maybe they'll just shut up about it, because here was the thing. After that was released, I had people come to the community to me and say, hey, you know, once they release that erased all doubt. Yeah. You know, your bid wasn't anywhere close. And you know, I got to thank all these people, because I do appreciate it. I don't need them to feel sorry for me. You know, it sucks he's going after me, and it sucks he's going after you personally now. You know, but I'm a big boy. I'm going to take care of me and those around me. I don't like the threats. I am going to protect my family. I'm going to protect my daughter. You know, and to me, family's off limits. Yeah. And when I say that, when you post my name and address out there, in a threatening manner like you did, accusing me of fraud, you know, accusing me of insider trading like it's a federal crime, that really pushes a narrative that I didn't like. And like I said, there's an old me and a new me. The old me would have handled this totally different. I'd have blown up instantly. There wasn't no need for that. And the reason was I knew I was in the right. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
The bids prove that.
Well, there's a bunch of crazies out there. You don't want that stuff put out there that's
Well, that's
allegations
right.
against you.
That's right.
Because you never know.
And part of the narrative, what sucked was part of the narrative, because how you do things when you do a title and a deed, if you don't have a loan against the place, when you get the title done, they either put $1 or $10 on the title. So, of course, then there's people on this. I've got people screenshot and sending me that he paid $10 for this place. Look, when you pay cash for something, they pick a number. They pick a $1 or $10.
Title office does.
Title office does.
Yeah.
So, of course, then the chamber come out and said, no, here's the bids. Here's what was paid. So, it's just like I say, when you're trying to push a narrative, and this is what bothers me about the whole situation. You can take names completely out of everything. I don't care. But what I do care is it's everything that happens, it seems, around here now is people that are not from around here that are causing the problems around here. That's what bothers me. And here's the other thing. I've had lots of people from the community come up and ask me, approach me and ask me about this. I've never had once one of those that are making accusations reach out and ask me.
No, me neither. Not one question, not one time.
And that bothers me being in a small town, because usually that's the first thing you do. If you got a problem, you need to know something, and if you want to know the right thing, you go ask that person. But if you want to push a narrative, you don't. You start pushing your narrative, and you let it snowball from there.
And hope they don't answer. And that's probably, for me and you and people like us, we really don't care about what people like that says about us. We have our focus on going ahead, getting the things done.
We've got a lot of things to focus on.
But the bad part is the people that cares about us, our families, our friends, come and they come to me and say, you have got to say something. You can't, and because it puts them in a tougher spot than us.
It does.
Because it's a lot harder to listen to somebody bash your friends or your family than it is if they're bashing you.
Well,
and that makes it makes it hard. So that's why we have to answer back this stuff. I mean, we've been forced to. We don't have no choice. Is the way I look at it.
And it comes down to this, Marty. Everything we've tried to do, we know our kids are watching every day.
Exactly.
There's no doubt. And not when a lot of people in this community will understand this statement. When we say our kids, I have a list of kids. And when I say our kids, a lot of times I mean multiple kids around this community that I have a lot of respect for. Great kids, great parents, worked side by side with them for a long time in these youth sports. But when I know my kids are watching how I'm going to handle a situation, and they're going to be this next generation that has to deal with this. Mm-hmm. These problems are going to be here.
And deal with people like this.
These problems are going to be here. Not the same thing, but the similar situations are going to be here 20 years down the road.
Well, it's always going to be the people that wants control and wants the power are going to try to keep the other people down.
Yeah.
And it's always been like that as long as I've been here, and it'll always be like that. So you either are going to be the kind of person that's kept down, somebody's got to stand up against this.
Well, when we talked about you running for school board, I ran for school board. Mm-hmm. I ran for a different reason. They do these forums, they do the newspaper article. I didn't do none of that. And of course, everybody's like, why are you not, you're not taking this really serious. Well, I had figured the system out. Like I say, I'm not 4-year college educated, but I've got a lot of street experience. And so, looking at that system and looking at how the voting and everything goes on, the best way to win anything is dilute the votes. And so by me jumping in the race, my only hopes was that I could take some votes away from people to lessen their chance of winning. Mm-hmm. I ain't saying I wouldn't have taken it serious had by chance I got on. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, you got people vying for leadership, vying for control. I don't want control. What I want is the ones in control to include everybody in the process.
As they should.
That's it. Some people, they like setting on boards. They like doing that stuff and being the ones that makes those decisions. And that's, especially in this climate. If you're willing to do that and put yourself out there like you have, to where everything you do is going to be under a microscope, everything you do is going to piss somebody off, hey, more power to you. All I want to do is I want to make sure the ones that are in charge are just doing their jobs the best they can. And when I say that, that includes the community. there's been a lot of, like I say, there's a lot of great things going on at that school. We still have some good teachers over there, some great staff. But a lot of this started with the school. That's where a lot of this controversy originally stemmed from. And,
well, I mean, the whole deal was, I mean, the accusation was, and I believe it was printed, was that I had inside information from a school board meeting, and I used that to pass the information to you so that you could outbid.
Yeah.
Which again, you outbid the next lowest person by $20,000. That was the whole narrative of that is false.
Yeah.
I did. There was a school board meeting. There was some manners in open session that had to be taken care of immediately. Considered it was about a grant that we had to make a decision on immediately, so we could get the grant that we're supposed to get and get started on. And then we went into closed session, and I immediately recused myself from the conversation about the land out there.
Yeah.
Because and honestly, I left the meeting. I was actually told to leave the meeting, and I don't believe I should have been told to leave the meeting, because I could have left and listened to it if I wanted, but I didn't want there to be any question. About that.
Well, that goes back to the rules thing. We read the rules.
We know the rules.
You need to recuse yourself, and when that says that, I mean, honestly, best thing you do so it doesn't look bad is leave the meeting. But is the rule state you have to? No, you just cannot participate in the conversation, nor participate in the vote.
Yeah.
But you was above and beyond that. You wasn't in the meeting, and the reason you recused yourself, or the reason you even brought it up to begin with, was because
it wasn't. It had nothing to do with you going to bid on the property.
Yeah.
I had actually been in negotiations with the chamber since last July or August about buying that piece of property, and I had put a bid in for the property, an amount, and at that time it was believed to be that the property was not in the city limits, and that was my preference. Is I thought that it was worth, and I'm not going to say the amount that I had bid, but it was much more than what you got the property for. I will say that it was tens of thousands of dollars more than what I thought the property was worth, what I made an offer for it, but that was with the contingency that it was not in the city limits.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there was a question about it being in the city limits.
Yep.
And as far as I know, I know it was still going on. They had an attorney hired.
Yeah.
It was still going on. There's still questions about whether it was or not. And even as of now, even though some say, well, yeah, we've proved it's in there, there's still a question on whether it is or it all is or not. But the whole point of me recusing myself is because I had made a bid on the property at that time, and that was still open. It was still with the contingency of it not being in the city limits. In the meantime, while that was going on, the chamber was having financial problems, and I'm not breaking. This is no news break here. Newsflash. Everyone knew that.
Yeah.
And they had an issue, and they was being ordered to sell the property or being foreclosed on.
Yeah.
I mean that's just the bottom line. That's what was happening. So that's why they decided to try to put it out on bids, because they were running out of time. And if they would have found out for sure that it wasn't in the city limits, I would have purchased the property for the amount I'd offered them.
Yeah.
So, but as it happened, they did run out of time, and so they had to sell it for the bid, and we're hopeful, and I believe so, that with what you bid, it was able to help them out and get their financial stuff in order, and that's the hope, because we want to see them succeed also. We don't want to see no one fail. We don't want the chamber to fail, city to fail, school. We don't want nobody to fail.
Well,
except maybe the radio station.
Well, you take any of those entities, I mean, we, as much as there's things wrong with the school system and with the city, I mean, God knows that's its own conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, other than owning property in the city, I don't have to do a whole lot of business with them. I pay attention to them because here's the thing. If the city fails or the school fails or certain things around here fails, our community fails.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if a lot of people pays attention, and I really do think they do, but our community as a whole is struggling. And not just at the city level, but at the school.
At every level.
And every aspect. And I mean, I hate it. I hate it because like I keep talking about my kids, I've already had a conversation with the oldest that, and his soon to be, wife, that not sure I want to raise my kids in this community, or send them to school here, and that kills me.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, I can't argue with that.
No.
Not at this point, because I'm losing faith in the system and what it's doing right now. There's, like I say, there's things about that school that are awesome. My daughter has excelled in things that, thank God, there's good teachers in it, because that has shaped her in a direction I'd have never seen her going. That's why there is a barnyard around my house, because the ag program, the ag teacher over there, has done absolute great things for that program. He has grown that program, and he's still fairly new, 3 years in. But he has grown that program. He has taken kids to state at multiple levels, multiple state degrees. That's the hope I got, that carries on and that grows, and in order for things to grow, sometimes you gotta trim some of the things back. You gotta, trim some of the dead things back. I mean, there's been controversy over there for years. Football program, up and down, this, that, and the other sports programs up and down. Well, every little thing that happens small, it grows bigger, and then it's the whole school is a bubble. And so, we both see it. The community sees it. You go sit at a ball game, and you hear these conversations being had, and it's really disheartening, because just like what's being said on this radio, it gets broadcast for miles. Yeah. Miles into these other school districts, into these other communities.
Well, it hurts us trying to get people to come here to teach
businesses.
Here. Yeah, it hurts the businesses here. It just hurts, like you say, the whole community when there's things like, and especially whenever, like we said, these allegations, they're not researched and trying to find out what the actual truth is about them. They just want to create the narrative and make it look like there's certain people, and it's all from the fact that when someone accuses you of doing some wrongdoing of some kind, it's because actually they were doing that themselves, and that's kind of what the case looks like here to me, is what they're accusing you of doing, of me of doing, was actually what they were doing. It was very strange, and it's pretty well public knowledge now, and so I don't mind saying it, that the loan amount due by the chamber was nearly right at $123,000, and that was exactly the bid that the Piney River Holdings bid on the place. So and I've been specifically told, and I'm not just going to say it's conjecture, but I've been told that they got inside information of what the loan was, and that's why they made that their bid. They just didn't expect anybody like you to go make another bid that was going to be higher than their bid. Yeah. They thought they had it, and their anger about you getting the bid over them is what's driving all this. Well, it's nonsensical stuff,
and it's boiled over beyond that. I mean, it went beyond that, and now it's on about a dump truck.
Yeah. Dump truck. The dump truck. And that's another, again. The poor man, his family has got to be so ashamed of George Schultz. He's like the guy that's wandering around out there, that you feel sorry for, that just hasn't got it all together. But he's talking about this dump truck. I'm on the township board also, Piney Township. I've been on there for 6 years now. Had a dump truck. Road caved in. Dump truck turned over. Damaged it, sent it off to Springfield to get it fixed. They didn't fix it right. It broke down on us on the way back when we went to pick it up. The insurance company totaled the dump truck. Of course, there's all the paperwork to show that the insurance company totaled it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we could not put that truck back on our insurance because it had been totaled.
Because it was a total loss.
So the only thing to do with it, like any total loss, and anyone that's had dealings with an insurance company, when there's a total loss, they'll offer you. They get bids from salvage companies.
Yeah.
For
like
what they
Copart, stuff
Copart. I think that was their best bid they had. Actually, was a Copart bid. What they would give for the salvage on it, for what it was worth, and they allow you the owner of it, to keep it for that amount, and then they pay you that much less for your insurance check on it.
Yeah.
Or they just give you the total amount and they take it. So whenever they made us the offer, our board had a meeting. What they offered for salvage, we figured that we thought we could get more out of it than that for parts. It had several good parts and stuff on it, but it was a totaled vehicle, totaled by the insurance company. So what I got accused of was we listed it on an auction site. I mean, that is the best way. I got asked to maybe just auction it off in a city auction or something like that, but I thought we could, I talked to the board, and we thought it would be best to put it out on a nationwide auction, and then we would have the best chance of getting hopefully more money than what the salvage.
Well, that's what we did at the state level.
Yeah, that's what everyone does.
We did all ours on Gov Deals, and I know MoDOT does stuff on Purple Wave too, but that's why we use Gov Deals, is because you got more exposure that way.
Well, the value of the truck, I think, was in the neighborhood. I'd have to look to make sure, but it's 28 or 29,000.
Yep.
And I think the salvage on it ended up being 8,000 or in that range was what they was going to give us salvage for.
Yeah.
So when we met about it and talked about it, and we thought, well, we should be able to hopefully get more out of it than that. So and what the whole goal was is we needed to take the insurance check we got. So we got a check for 21,000 or something like that, and then kept the truck. And then our goal was to try to raise enough money to buy us another dump truck.
Yeah.
And we wanted to upgrade and get a little better dump truck, which I think the one we ended up buying was a little over 50,000.
Yeah.
So what we did was we put that dump truck and other items at the that we hadn't used the township hadn't used for years and years. We listed them on the Purple Wave auction, which is a nationwide auction, and hopefully would get enough money out to buy us a dump truck and pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did. Now, again, like I say, just because I am on the board of the township, anyone else that's in the community or anywhere else has a right to bid on the stuff.
Mm-hmm. I
bid on the dump truck, and I bid on a couple of other things. Mm-hmm. And some of the things I got and some of the things I didn't.
Yeah.
But there was no, I believe, I would have to look back and see, but I believe I paid $23,500 for that dump truck. So the township,
it was more than that.
It might have been more than that.
I think it was. I think it was. I want to say it was 26 or 27.
Well, and it could have been, but I know the township made $15,000 to $20,000 more for the township. Which, when you say for the township, it's for the taxpayers.
Yeah.
And I know the stuff that we sold, we was able to buy that better dump truck, a better one, and pay for it cash. And I can let anyone look at our financial statements and and all of our books, and our township is setting better financially, as far as I know, better than any township in the area. Yeah. Money wise, a year before last, we bought another new road grader, so we have 3 road graders.
So you guys are running 3
We have
graders
2
now.
dump trucks. We're in a process right now. We're taking applications for a 4th employee. Mm-hmm. And it's been a struggle.
So you're trying to grow.
Well, it's been a struggle the last 3 or 4 years
to meet the needs of the township.
Yeah, because of all these floods and this, it's hard to keep up, and we've not been able to keep up, and we've not been able to serve the public the way that we want to serve them. So we're doing our best, and every time we can save some money or make some extra money, we do it.
Yeah.
Now, whether that money comes out of my pocket or your pocket or anybody else's pocket, when it's on an auction, everybody has the right to bid whatever they want to bid.
Yeah, and we can do the same thing. I mean, we had personal internal policies that the state regulated us heavier than state law required. Mm-hmm. If it was something that I had worked on, that was their deal. If it was something I physically, as the mechanic, worked on, I couldn't bid on it. That was their only, and like I said, that was an internal company policy. And so, if it goes back to the same thing. If you was trying to keep that secret, I don't think you'd have put your name on the title.
No, and I mean, and it wasn't. It was put out there and advertised, and I mean, and there was several people called me, but the narrative that Mr. Schultz and George Schultz, I'm not even going to call him Mr. He doesn't deserve any respect from anybody, so I'll just call him as he is, George Schultz. his narrative is that somehow I personally listed the dump truck as inoperable, so it wouldn't bring as much money.
Yeah.
Now, granted, everything that was done through the board, not me personally. It had to be listed as non-operational because it was a totaled vehicle.
Yeah.
I couldn't, with the board, we couldn't sell it as a good vehicle when it was totaled.
Yeah.
So
when I got it, after you'd purchased it, I got it, took it home. It had and the whole thing is they missed a busted radiator hose on it.
Yeah.
And so it had no coolant in it when they started it. And this was missed by the contractor that fixed the, or supposedly fixed the truck.
It was supposed to fix
and so, the truck had got hot and shut down. And so, it was a gamble. But the beauty of it was between, your ability to find truck parts out there and my ability to be able to fix things at that time, we knew it was a gamble that even if the motor was completely bad, 100% had to be repaired, we knew how much we was going to have to spend in order to get it back on the road. Which in the long run was going to be less than going out and spending $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to put a truck on the road right now, trying to build a business up. And so, took it home, did the repairs on it, put a head gasket in it, stuff like that, and still took the gamble because I didn't want to pull the whole motor down. Fixed at minimum what I knew was wrong on top, put it on the road and try it. Fingers crossed, hope it wasn't going to have an entire motor. If it did, we was prepared for that. And so, like I say, that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, is spending that much money on something that is broke. Because you have to have that fixed cost in there saying, all right, I can get a home and it's going to cost me $2,000, or I can get a home and it's going to cost me $15,000. You got to be willing to pay that $15,000.
Yeah, and the thing about it was, we knew, like you say, with my access, I've been in the trucking business now since 1985. I have a huge network of parts and things I can get. Yeah, you was 4 years old then, but by my network of being able to get engines and things like that, and your mechanical ability, and we thought it was worth the chance to do it. And like I say, it's whether stuff is in your name, my name, our name, it doesn't matter. We work together. Everyone that knows us knows that. We make that no secret. There's no secrets that we have. We're completely transparent, and will be about anything we do.
Well, like I said about those new machines, those were ventures on my own. I talked to you about them.
Sure.
I said to you where I was at in my business model, where I was at with customers, where I was at with where I wanted to go. I had never done that before. And so, I laid out the cost of all this stuff and what I thought I could bring in and what I had potential to do with the advancement of the equipment. And so, even though, you ain't got a financial stake in either one of them brand new machines, you had a huge personal stake because I was relying on you for that business experience sake. And I've told you this before, and if you hear me say something that is just out of whack, out of realm, I expect you to come to me and say you're screwing up.
You're not looking at it right.
You're not looking at it right. And so, like I say, whether our business ventures cross or don't, we're still involved in every bit of it.
That's
your trucking company out here, I don't have a dime invested in it. But it's one of those things, when you're dealing with certain things out there, your paperwork or your customers or something like that, and you get a truck go down, how many times have you picked up the phone to me and say, I'm right in the middle of this, can you please go take care of this?
Yeah.
I ain't got a dime in that business. But that's our inner business connections, that just like if I need materials from somewhere, yeah, I call you and say, hey, do you got a truck coming through here? It's that inner business. So yeah, there's going to be things intermixed.
Well, a month and a half ago, you called me and said, hey, I've seen this truck on Marketplace. This may be what one you're looking for.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I went and bought it.
Yeah,
because it was. That's what we do.
Well, and I spent what, an hour and a half on the phone with the guy before I ever even told you about the truck.
Yeah,
because I know, like I say, I know enough about your business by being involved with it now, and that goes back to that safety net that we both have kind of built around us. that if something were to happen to either one of us, we're going to be able to help step in with the family and either get them into or get them out of. That was by design. It wasn't by accident. So, you know, it's one of those things, you know, it's never been hidden that we do business together.
But nobody ever asked us about any of these allegations. No one has called us and asked us and said, you know, it said, hey, can you just tell us how this happened, how it went down? We'd been happy to. You know, and then the next thing, I mean, it just seems like a broken record, endless things, but now he's on a pickup that was sold to the township in, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I don't even know when it was. Same situation. We needed a pickup for the township. The old pickup was done, and we needed one. And we put an ad out. We took bids for pickup. We actually put a bid in from mine and Jeremy's auto sales. We put a bid in on a pickup that we'd had there sitting on the lot that was the kind of pickup it needed. We received no bids, any other bids from anyone else for one. The rules are that, you know, just because you're in the township or you're part of it doesn't mean you can't buy or sell from it. But if you bid something and you want to sell it, you know, it has to be the lowest bid. That's the rules. That's the rules. I mean, that's a state.
That's
statute.
the same with the
It's a state statute, and anyone that would take any time and look at the state statutes would see that that's the deal. And that's exactly what happened. In fact, but there was no other bids. But Jeremy even went a step farther. He went and got an appraisal on the pickup from a dealership for how much the pickup was worth, because he went even farther to be transparent about it. And the pickup was sold to the township for less than what it was appraised for. Yeah. So beyond just doing what was, you know, what
required,
he went farther than that. And so, but again, you're having all these accusations, these sunshine requests, and all this stuff going on about this, and making it look like that there was some kind of conspiracy, you know, to cheat I guess the taxpayers out of money. When I mean, and the guys drove the pickup into our office out here today. We're still using the pickup. I mean, it was a good buy, and that's what we've done, and that's why the township has been able to set ourselves up and make ourselves so financially stable when many of the townships around here are struggling
with funds and
struggling to keep up. But we make good financial decisions. But again, you got a loudmouth, you know, ignorant person like him that's sitting there saying things that aren't true. Again, nobody has reached out to me. Nobody has reached out, you know, to anyone on the board to find out exactly what the situation was. Just innuendos and just saying that, you know, making accusations and posting stuff on Facebook and everywhere else, you know, that this is that's being investigated, what we done. Well, that's what we done. You know, and you know, like I say, does it bother me? No, I don't care what anyone says.
The only thing that bothers a person is then you have to take time out of your day, you know, which you don't mind doing. You know, you're a public figure. You're an elected official. I am not. So me having to take time out of my day to explain to people, and it's not the people that I'm saying I hate taking my time out for. It's because of the narrative that's pushed. I have to now stop, explain to these people, which I have no problem explaining to them. And like I say, all of them know me. You know, everybody that's come up to me knows my family. And when you said that sunshine request thing, sunshine request can be a very useful tool. I've used it. Sure. You know, I mean, but here's the thing. I keep that to myself until either the issue is verified or not verified. I don't just go out there and throw it across the room and hope it sticks to the proverbial wall like they like to say sometimes. But the big thing is, you know, use it as it's intended, and that's great. And then if you find exactly what you're looking for, then you go and you make it public and you let everybody know. Because here's the thing, they're public entities. They have a right to know.
Sure.
People, parents and community members that vote on this school down here, they have a right to know what's said in those board meetings. They have a right to know what's said, honestly, behind every closed door when it comes to leading their kids and molding their kids.
And that's what keeps getting me in trouble because, I ran for these offices, promising transparency
Tell people.
and accountability. And that's and that is a tough one for people to take that doesn't like transparency.
And it's tough for you too because, like you said, those rules. And there's things that I am, just like when I worked for the state, we had to sign non-disclosure agreements to do bids and stuff. There was things I really wish I could have told some people because it would have helped them in the long run, just like I'm sure there is with you on the board. There's some things I wish you could probably tell parents because I know as a parent, there's things that's probably going on that is affecting my child's education that you can't tell me.
And I don't.
Here's the thing. I don't want to ask.
No,
I don't want to put you in that position.
No.
And I've said that several times, and as a matter of fact, there's a lot of times when there is an issue that directly involves my child, I don't even go to you. I go to the school. I go to the superintendent first. That way they don't think I'm using you as a pawn. I've never sent you to the school to fight on my behalf.
No.
That's not what I'm going to do.
No.
I don't need to do that. I'm going to fight my battles. Just like this battle that's going on now. Yes, it's intertwined. You have a battle you're going to fight. I've got a battle I'm going to fight. They are going to mingle here or there. Yeah. But the thing is, like you say, they've tried to now exclude me in a manner of speaking by coming out and saying, after still posting my name again and my address and putting my family's, in my opinion, my family's safety at risk because there's nut jobs out there.
Yeah.
And I ain't saying my address ain't on the internet.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to relate it to some sort of fraud or nefarious thing going on, and you throw that damn thing out there, you're changing the rules now.
When you're saying that this person has committed a federal offense,
that's right.
You are putting fodder in nut jobs heads.
And this is way in a different class, I would say at this point, but still it's the same thing. Look at Elon Musk and Tesla right now.
Exactly.
There's people out there destroying private vehicles just because they hate Elon Musk.
Did you see the big guy last night on the 4-wheeler that was running into the Tesla? He was 5'2", and he weighed 500 and some pounds.
That's a big boy.
Yeah, on a 4-wheeler, and he run across the parking lot into a Tesla.
Yeah.
He had no idea that it was going to make his 500-pound shift over the handlebars. And so he pretty much just body slept. He didn't fall off of it, but he kind of crashed into the Tesla himself. But yeah,
it's just that same
right. It's the same kind of mentality.
Because
you don't do those things
because there's a narrative being pushed.
That's right.
Those people are now destroying private property of owners that bought this long before Elon Musk ever stepped into whatever role he's doing up there.
Yeah.
And that's where my concern goes now. And so, foremost, as a father, that overshadows anything I'm doing as business. I'm going to take care of my family, 100% across the board. And so, I could be as petty. I have all their addresses.
Yeah.
And when I say all theirs, that includes Josh and Rick Dixon, and I know Josh has young kids. Like I said, I've known Josh for a long time. I've done business with Josh. But here's what sucks now. Because how George has portrayed himself as being close-knit with Josh and Rick and this Rocky Gilbert, it sucks, but I don't want to do business with them no more.
No.
But here's the thing. I'm not going to be petty. I'm not going to go and do a Facebook post and say, here's all their addresses. Here's where every one of them lives.
Yeah. Because
it's crap. It's stupid. It's fucking dangerous, is what it is, and they're going to get somebody hurt.
Yeah, and they could. I mean, and
when that, and God forbid that happens, you're putting it into a whole new realm.
Yeah,
and there's no reason for it to go there. If you've got a problem with something I'm doing, guess what? I'm in this town every day. Every day. The beauty of my job is now you don't know where I'm going to be, but there's a good chance I'm going to be at one of the restaurants, or I can guarantee you between probably 7 and 8 a.m. in the mornings, I'm at the Shell gas station getting fuel, getting ready to go somewhere to work. So it ain't like you can't find me. You obviously had my address.
Yeah. Well,
now I would not show up out there unannounced because I can assure you, you're not welcome.
what I hate about this whole thing is, I mean, just for Piney River Ford, Rick Dixon, I've known him pretty much my whole life. Consider him a friend. Always have considered him a friend.
Yeah.
Josh, coached him. One of my favorite players I ever coached.
Yeah.
Hard worker. Logan, I love his son Logan. I mean, as respectful. I think you said you spent an hour talking to Logan yesterday. I mean, what sucks about this whole thing is them letting some guy like George Schultz, attach himself, like a fungus to him, it makes you, I mean, and it makes me and everybody around me, not want to do business with him. Not going to do business with him. Not even going to consider him. In fact, I would advise people to do business at anywhere but there. And the same way at the radio station.
Well, and that's
and I don't even know Rocky. I don't know Rocky that well. I assume, I know he's got kids in school and stuff. I assume he wants the best for them. I think he's involved and tries to do some stuff for the ball fields and stuff. But when he attaches himself to some person like that is so ignorant, and is just a cancer to our society, what's George ever done for our community? What's he, has he ever volunteered for anything? Has he ever done anything? I don't know of anything he's ever done.
I said, I don't know of it if he has. I couldn't pick the man out in the lineup. I don't want to.
Yeah, well,
but it goes back to the same thing.
You'd be impressed if you've seen him. So.
It goes back to the same thing we were saying before about this narrative hurting our community as a whole.
Yeah.
Piney River Ford is a business in our community.
Sure.
Our community cannot afford to lose any more businesses. Whether I do business with them or not, I don't want to see them fail, because all that does is it takes more revenue out of our community. It takes more revenue out of our schools. Everything drops. That's not the issue here. The issue is when you're running a narrative and you're blasting their names as being partners, that then connects them to this narrative.
Yeah.
And that sucks. And I hate it. I hate it.
Me too. I hate it for them. But I don't hate it bad enough. I mean, they have the ability, and they can have to make the decision to distance themselves from anyone like that.
Well, it's just like me and you.
Because it's costing them money every day.
If I honestly thought that anything you did in this situation was wrong, I would distance myself from you.
Well, sure.
and you would me.
That's right.
Because you can't afford your business to suffer because of somebody else's actions.
No. And I mean, that doesn't even make sense. So, I mean, I'm hopeful, that they could, I don't think it's, I don't think it's possible to put a muzzle on somebody that's that ignorant, honestly. So I don't think they could ever just tell him, shut up, you're costing us business, and you're not doing any good. I don't think they could do that. I mean, they've just got to distance themselves from him. I hope to goodness they do, because like I said, I've known that family for a long time, and I hate it that I cannot do business with them, and I can't, encourage anybody to do business. In fact, just the opposite. I will encourage people to not go there until they distance themselves from that man. And I hate that, because, like I say, I like the family, but still, there's just certain principles you have to have. And then another thing, what this whole thing's about, is us explaining ourselves, because other people needs this. They need to see us doing it, and this needs to empower people. I was so I have to be careful what I say about. I think I do about school board stuff, because I can't, anything I'm saying here is not me speaking for the board
or as a board member,
or as a board,
as a whole.
It's not, and for the township board or the school board. This is my own personal opinions and my stuff that I see is going on. Now, I'm there at the board meetings, so I can say what but it really pains me to see when we had the young teachers, the young women come in over the situation about the 4-day calendar, and that their feelings were hurt, and that the morale was low because they wasn't listened to.
But you heard that through the community,
but through the whole community.
I mean, we did.
To see those young, that's our future. Like you say, the young people's our future, and to see them disappointed, in this stuff, it's sad. It's sad that that's where our community is in every aspect of it.
Well, when you say it's our future, I mean, every school district right now is struggling to hire the best teachers.
Yeah.
the pool is small, and so now it comes down to, just like with a lot of jobs now in trades, because there's so few people wanting to do it, the employers are fighting for employees now, and the school districts are not exempt from this at this point. And so now they're looking at it, and what it's coming down to, the state has mandated a certain pay level.
Yeah,
so that's equal to,
field.
well, it's equal to a lot of it. There's still school districts that have
you can pay more,
and so they can drag some in. So when it comes down to close school districts that are paying equally the same, then it comes down to, well, if I can work 4 days for the same money or work 5 days, I'm going to shift over here. And so it just sucks, because then it takes that pool and even narrows it down more. And then that's what it boils down to. Yeah. You can argue the fact about whether it's good for the kids, bad for kids. It's still infancy enough that right now across the state on these 4-day weeks, they've had studies. It's pretty well inconclusive. It's narrowed out.
Well, but you can. I think you could pretty well state as a fact that if you lose your best experienced teachers, that you're not going to get as good education for your kids. Now you could say whether they go 4 days or 5 days, that's controversial. But you could. It's not controversial to say if we lose our best teachers, and our most experienced teachers, if we keep losing 20-year teachers, 20-plus-year teachers, then our ability to teach the kids is going to go down.
Well, and it's not just teaching the kids, though. Those experienced teachers are teaching the new and upcoming teachers.
Yeah, exactly. Mentoring them.
That's the second aspect of that is you're teaching more than just the students. You're teaching the teachers. You're mentoring the younger teachers coming in.
And when you lose that, and again, this is for us. We're answering questions that we've not been asked because people that does look up to us or are friends with us, they want to know, and they want us to answer these things. They don't want us just to. I mean, I feel like I'm in a pinball machine. I have been the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's just boom, 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 one thing, another thing like that. Which honestly, I have a focus. I have my mind on what I'm doing and what direction I'm going in and focus on. So I don't pay a lot of attention to it. It doesn't matter, but it does matter to a lot of people, and it's tough on your family, your friends, and they don't want to see you have things said about you whenever they know themselves that that's not the way you are, and that's not what you do.
And like I said, my mom and dad, they're older. They're trying to stay out of this, but they're watching me reinvent myself. Yeah. They're watching me build something from scratch, and so they know. I mean, they see it. I've missed dinners and missed time with my family trying to build this business up. And now they know my focus is having to be redirected because, I got people accusing me of something that if they would have just come ask, I would have showed them what I bid after the bids were all closed. I would have showed them. I'd have told them. I mean, now whether they believe me beyond that, then go investigate.
Yeah.
But, come ask me.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the thing.
I'm a very visible person.
And I'm what I'm hoping to get out of this, and get out of these conversations that we're going to have, and this is something we're going to do regularly. And have a conversation about topics and stuff. Hopefully, that it won't always be about us, because maybe some of it will die down. But I mean, we want to get into local politics. We want to have discussions about that, about federal politics, and not just politics, but we want to talk about sports. We want to talk about everything that me and you sit and talk about all the time, every time we're together.
And do what we said we want to do is give people a voice, and that means bringing people in and let them talk.
Exactly. I mean, hopefully empower other people that if you've got an issue, you can come in and you can be a guest of ours and come in on this just like us, and we'll sit down and have a conversation. You're free to say what you want to say, and we'll say our part about it, but empower people to you don't have to just take it. You don't have to do that. This today is the beginning of the last day. I know that me and you is going to sit and take it. We're going to answer whenever things come our way. There is going to be an answer now, and this is going to be the format. Our boys are pretty savvy. This idea was their idea. They're going to be producing this thing for us.
Well, like you said, our family wanted us to respond.
Yeah.
Because in all honesty, if it wasn't for our family and our close friends, it was one of those things. To us, we didn't justify a response to it. It didn't matter. I don't care what they think.
No.
Like I said, when Chamber released the bids, it proved what I did, and that was fine. That was fine with that. But then it's been nonstop and continue to see my name out there. And so for my family's sake, this is what they wanted. And like I say, I weigh, my family will tell you, I weigh the decisions.
Sure.
I go to my family. Anytime that I step out in the limelight and there is a potential for controversy that can endanger my family's safety or even their mental aspect, harassment.
Well, your parents are elderly now.
Yeah.
They don't need that kind of.
They don't.
They don't need that. They don't need that in their lives for no reason. If you do something wrong, okay, I'll pay the price for doing something wrong.
If I do something wrong, just like I did when I was a kid.
Yeah, I'm not sure you haven't paid the price a few times. I certainly know I have.
Yeah.
And so I'm not above doing things wrong, but what I do and I know what you do and why we get along so good together is that we do research a lot. And before we open our mouths, we already know what's going to come out of it, and we know why.
Well, and here's the thing, and you know, if I had my kids sitting in front of me, I've taught my kids this lesson since they was little. I've never told my kids not to do something. Mm-hmm. What I have told my kids to do is you weigh out every scenario, every consequence. And if you're willing to accept whatever consequence of your action, you make that decision. Mm-hmm. Because that's how you make adults. Mm-hmm. You know, every action has a reaction. It's the famous old thing that everybody's taught. But that's what I've taught my kids is don't be afraid to step out there. Just think of every scenario, every action, and every consequence. Weigh the consequence. You know, and so I try to live by the same thing. Mistakes I've made in my past, hey, I weighed those consequences and I paid for some of them. You know, just like tickets. I have never got a ticket in my life that I didn't deserve. I probably should have got a lot more. But I never once attacked the law or went after law enforcement saying, "Oh, they're just after me." Well, they were after me, but rightfully so. But that's just what I say. It's a whole gamut. You know, people are gonna make mistakes. People are gonna mess up. As you get older, you learn to research more and more and more before you open your mouth. Like I said, I'm a different person. Before, I would have just opened my mouth. Mm-hmm. And I'd have blew off the handle, and I'd have said things that, were inaccurate.
That weren't helpful.
It didn't help the situation. No. It probably made it a lot worse.
Or help people that's watching you.
Yeah.
When you start, when you dedicate a lot of time and donate a lot of your time to kids and to coaching kids and to, mentoring kids and then your actions and what you do, that becomes more and more important. Yeah. Because the people that they are closest to are watching. Yeah. They're watching you, and they're seeing how you handle things and do things. Well, and this whole thing here, we've sat back and we've went around our business and we've kept on going just like we always do, and
didn't hide.
And no, I mean certainly not.
Been in every restaurant in town,
everywhere.
Anybody that walked up and asked.
Yeah, but there comes a point to where we just got to say no, that's enough. Yeah. And hopefully, like we said, there will be people in the future that wants to come and sit down with us and air out their issues and or even just make comments and make statements about stuff that they have a passion for. Yeah. We're 100% for the kids, the youth, and in saying that, as far as the property out there, I mean, everyone knows that me and you's going to be working together on it. Doesn't matter if it's yours or mine or ours or whosever it is. Yeah. We're going to be working together. Anyone that's wondering if the youth will have a place out there to do their activities and stuff, there are some repairs that are going to have to be made first.
That we want to make. That's needed a long upgrade.
Yeah, it's been but as we have done for the last several years, in our minds, outside of our work and doing what we have to and doing what we need to and what we think we should do for our families, the youth of this area is our most important.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what's on our mind, and that's what we like to do. Yep. There's it's no better feeling in my life than to help kids succeed and do things, and then to see them when they become adults. And the best thing, you see them come up and they come and give you a hug, and you haven't seen them, and
you start seeing their kids.
That's right. Yeah,
you've been around long enough now. You're seeing the kids of kids you coach.
It's just like Cody taking over the Mighty Mites. Yeah. Cody was one of my first ones on the first Mighty Mite teams. And now him and Rowdy and them guys who are my Mighty Mite team. Now they're running it instead of me because I'm too old to run it. And that's great to see that it's keeping on going like you want it. It makes you know you've done something right.
Just got to keep building.
And then but you have these outsiders that come in that doesn't really do anything. If they do anything, it's masked like for the community. Say, well, he gave this money to school. Well, he gave that money to the school for advertisement. He didn't give that money to the school because he wanted to help the kids. He just wanted to have his name out there so you'll do more business with him. That's what a lot of this stuff's about. So I have spent half of my life volunteering and helping kids. I mean, and it's been the best half of my life. And I will continue to do that for the rest of my life. I mean, hopefully someday, if everything works out, before I get too old, I'll have grandkids to help. Or maybe if I don't, maybe you will, and I'll help yours. Maybe that's what we'll have to do it. But
even until then, there's kids out there like you say, Cody's kids, and other kids that me and you have known, people that I've went to school with that have kids that are coming up, and so there's a lot of opportunity there. I got several young nieces and nephews, and I just want them to have opportunity.
I tell people, I run the Mighty Mite, our youth football program. When I done the baseball at the same time, I done that for 27 years. Yeah. My two sons played out of those 27. They played 7 years. Yeah. So the other 20 years, I didn't even have anybody. I mean, but again, that's what I like to do, and I don't expect anyone else to do that. If they don't want, everyone's free to do what they want. But you're not free just to keep on bashing me about things that aren't true. Yeah. You're not free to do that anymore.
Well, just come. I mean, like you say, to anybody else out there. Yeah. Come ask.
And if anyone hears
come have the conversation.
If you hear something about me or about you and it makes you wonder, I put my phone number on everything.
It's on your businesses.
It's on businesses. It's on. I put it in the paper on articles. I've put it out there everywhere. I've not hid and honestly, sometimes I get some calls and text messages. That's not very pleasant to hear from people that don't care about what I do. But that's fine too. I don't care. I would rather everyone feel like they have access to me, because if I'm putting myself out there, like I do, you have to have an open door where people have access to you. That's what I believe. So there again, all this stuff is garbage. Anyone that wants to talk about it or would feel better talking to either one of us about it, we'd be more than happy to talk to you. Give us a call. You're not going to insult us by asking us any question you want to ask. But that's just where we stand on this situation. Hopefully, next time we get together and talk, we'll maybe there'll be some more positive things to talk about, and not everything negative. We don't want this to be all negative all the time.
Absolutely.
But we
have a lot. I mean, the fun thing is we have a lot of fun conversations. We have a lot. We have a lot of positive conversations.
About always positive. I mean, it takes somebody like this, to make our conversations not positive. But again,
because our kids have pretty well accused us of having a lot of conversation.
Yes.
They say we do tend to like to talk. So that was kind of their design behind this was, if you guys have a lot of meaningful, and I really do. I mean, we've had a lot of very, like I say, over the last 2 years with my situation, a lot of the conversation has helped shape my life from here on out, which is shaping my kids' life.
It has secured mine. Because I'm like it's been good for both of us, and that's why we get along so good together. And why we were able to do business ventures together and social adventures together and everything else. But no, we don't have to hide things. No. We don't have to conspire to do things. What we do is right out in the open, and we're transparent about everything. So if there's any questions, I mean, do I think this is going to stop the madness? Probably not. This is probably maybe even make it worse. I don't know. I really don't care.
That's what my family understands. This isn't to stem them. To stop the flow. This is for my friends and family and those out there that know me but don't know me or know you,
or might want to find out on their own. Might want to just say, hey,
they can get the information our side.
That's
it's an age-old expression. There's two sides to every story.
Yeah.
They've ran the narrative long enough, and they've spoke their piece. We're speaking ours, and like I say, hey, that's the beauty of this right here. I mean, you have the right to say what you want. but people have a right to respond. And this, there was many ways we could have responded to this. Like I say, our friends and family found this was the best way to do it, and I'm glad we had.
Yeah.
You know, because like I say,
this is us.
I hope this does empower other people to step up and realize, yes, you're going to take hits.
Yeah.
But you got to realize, like I said, consequence. I'm willing to accept the consequences for it because, you know, there is people that can't.
That's right.
And they have a right to a voice. They just don't know how. And like I say, they're and rightfully so, afraid of what can come of it, because getting your name and address posted out there, like I say, our information's all over the internet. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. If you want to find something out about somebody, just go to the internet. But to have it blasted out there in this manner, that was a whole different realm.
Yeah, and that's like, I don't know if it's borderline. I mean, that's slanderous is what that is. And I mean, when you're making summary things where everyone can make up their own mind about what it is, but when you flat out make statements that this is a federal offense, what is going on or what has happened, that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, that's a little bit different.
It's a lot different.
And so, you know, that has to be answered, and for sure for sure has to be, you know, put out there to where, if you're a person that doesn't know us that well, you know, or even wonders, give us a call.
Yeah.
You know, give us a call. We're easy to talk to.
You see us in a restaurant, you're welcome to come up and visit, or if you don't feel comfortable doing it in public, don't. You'll
catch us. Yeah, you'll catch us sitting around just like we're sitting here at a table talking a lot of times, and most of the time, everybody else has walked off, and we're still sitting there talking because we could talk forever.
Well, I mean, one thing about, you know, like you said, the only thing that's been around here longer than as far as the 27 years in the sports and the youth programs is probably the mullet. You know, that's that. Well, I believe there's some pictures circulating all the way back that I've been in other states with you on vacation and on, you know, business ventures, and run into people that you hadn't seen for years that recognize you 30 years later. So, you know anything more than the sports has got to be the mullet.
Yeah.
It is funny to be out of state and somebody say, "Holy crap, that's Marty Merkling," and you know your back's to them. Well, they know it's the hair because your hair hasn't changed any in the last 30.
Or they might have heard me, one of the two.
Or they heard you.
The voice.
But no, I do enjoy our conversation, and more than important, I enjoy our partnership. It is helped me and my family more than most people could ever imagine.
You know, and not only just us, we have so many good friends.
Absolutely.
Because of us working together and them
that's reached out multiple times in the past week or two.
That's right. Just for encouragement in case we needed it.
And before we chose to, you know, to put this out, it was one of those, the same statement I gave to all of them, you know, those that's going to love me, you know. And honestly, those that hate me, they've hated me for a long time, and it ain't going to make no difference.
That's right.
So that's why I say, I don't care, you know, this isn't a response to them or for them. This is a response for those out there that have heard their narrative, that does know me, does know my family. Mainly a response to say, come talk to me. Yeah. If you hear something, just come ask me. I'll tell you. And
the ones that do know us, hey, don't worry about us. We're fine. Yeah. You know, but I'm sure they do.
Reaching out. But had a lot of people reach out, you know, hey, hold your heads up. You know you're right. Well, you know, and I do appreciate that.
Sure.
But the last thing I want is people feeling sorry for me. I've stepped into the limelight. I was raised by one of the strongest men I could ever imagine. 6'6" plus Navy man that taught me a lot of things, and most importantly, taught me how to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't worry about me. I worry about those around me. Mm-hmm. And so that's what this response is for. Is for those around me. I will protect mine, and when I say mine, that is everybody that I carry under my wing. And that being said, going forward, is how it's going to be. There is no more me standing in the background and just letting it be said. It will be responded to, and it'll be responded to appropriately. Mm-hmm. Every action deserves a reaction. but it's going to be a very thought out action. It's not going to be blown off the handle, and I'm not going to let anybody, whether it's this group or any group, I'm not going to let them determine my outcome.
No.
I'm here because I want to be here. I'm here because I was raised here.
It's our town. This is our town. It's our school. It's our community. We've lived here our whole lives. These people coming in causing problems, that what I call them transplants here, you know, they don't belong here.
Yeah.
I don't want them here.
Yeah.
You know, if they want to become part of us, it's kind of like having our ball teams. Yeah. If you want to come join our ball team, you're welcome to join our ball team.
And there's a lot of people that's moved here over the years that I would swear has lived here their whole life.
Oh yeah.
And as you know, brought difference and brought change, but has molded themselves to this community and been huge partners of this community and appreciate every one of them. Because the only way for a community not to die is for it to grow. Mm-hmm. And so you have to have that outside come in.
Oh, sure.
But you want that outside to come in and influence the community as it is as a whole. And so, you know, that's our goal going forward.
I'm older than, getting older than a lot of people now, but this community used to be the community people moved to.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it had the best of everything. We had the best schools. We had the best town. We had the best of everything. It was a thriving place.
Well, it was the county seat of the largest county in Missouri.
That's right. I mean, and we had the biggest fair.
Yeah.
And we had, so I want everything to succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason why one part of our town and one group can succeed,
mm-hmm.
but they've got to do it at the expense of all the other ones. Mm-hmm. We all everything needs to succeed.
Yeah, it's got to feed off each other. But
we've got to cut out these people that's not here and hopes for the community to succeed. When they're out here for their only interest is themselves and the profit they make from the people here.
Mm-hmm.
Because the community will not succeed if those are the people that's running the community. And we've got to force those people out.
Yep.
And because this community, you have a fundraiser like there will be the one tomorrow night and the one last year, and the community comes out and they support these kids.
Pour out and drink.
It's amazing how they support the kids. But when it comes around to support the community, you have bond proposals fail. You have to that's not because of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's because of the people that's from other cities that's here running things. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have the community's best interest in mind. They have their own interest in mind.
Yeah.
And people are starting to realize that, and the majority of people does realize that now.
Well, that's been a nationwide shift.
That's right.
You're seeing
that
silent majority over the last 6 years or so. You've seen it with this last election.
Yeah.
They thought, this last election was going to go to a landslide the other direction, and the people that were just, they're sick of how things are going. They show it at the voting polls.
Yeah.
That's how they show it. That's how they speak up, and that's the direction things are turning. People are finally getting fed up, and they're going to start standing out, and they're going to make the change.
And like I say, that's what we're hoping here. If you want to be a person that you got something to say, or you've got something, reach out to us. Whenever when this podcast comes out, it'll be out sometime the first of next week. Along with it will be a communication avenue for you to reach out to us. If you want some comments made by you, if you don't want your name put on it, everything's welcome.
Yeah.
If you want to be a visitor here and join us on one of our podcasts, we'll be happy to have you.
Yeah.
We're planning on tackling every subject just as we'd be sitting around the kitchen table talking about it, and we'll just bring it to you in our thoughts.
Yeah.
But this has been a fun inaugural one, I guess you could call it, and I guess
more to come.
Much more to come. So I guess, Bob, it's probably time we get back to the
work again.
I'm not sure what time it's getting to be right now, but it's probably about
10:30. Typical for us.
That's about right. That's about what time
a little backwards.
we normally start breaking up. That's about time that your wife says Bob, we need to go. I gotta get home.
Yeah, but you notice,
So-
she wanted to go home and go to bed because she knew it was going to be a late night.
I think
And
she probably figured
she's
that.
good at that. I usually get home and she's been asleep for a couple hours, and so that's just. But she's done that for 25 years.
Yeah.
Or no, crap, I said 25. We're going to be married 20 years this year. So
bless her heart.
yeah. But no, I mean it has it. She has been a big key to this, just like you have. I mean, she stood there and watched
100%
me
support.
go down and then turn around and say we're dumping in. You know, we're all in.
Yeah.
And when I said we're all in, that girl, she jumped all the way in.
Yeah. Well, we just can't let these clowns, or a clown, let's put it that way, put any bumps in the road for us. You know.
And like I say, what they do is what they do. But when they start doing it to me and to my family, I've always been a live and let live. You know, but in the grand scheme, I'm not going to be that way anymore.
Yeah.
If you want to step out, let's step out and have the conversation. Let's have it right here.
Yeah.
Come here. If you want to have a conversation,
right.
You sit right here and ask any question you want.
That's right. That's exactly right.
But you're not going to hide. You know, don't stand back there and just sling stuff before
not in the shadows.
You have any information.
We're not going to.
Have no reason to.
No.
You know, there's a million things I could say that I've heard through this week. I can't verify them. I'm not going to say them.
No.
I have no reason to say them. That doesn't help. I don't have a narrative.
Yeah.
My narrative right now is to grow my business, help my family, and help my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give my kids something that they do want to stay here.
So basically, your narrative is the same thing it was yesterday.
Same thing.
Probably the same thing it's going to be tomorrow.
Guaranteed.
Perfect.
Guaranteed. It's pretty well not going to change. So,
well, let's sign off this thing, and good to talk to you.
You bet.
We'll talk to you next time.